Alrighty, y'all. What's going on, guys? Welcome back here to another stream, y'all. Got a new tropical storm on the table. That is the new news of the night. We got Fernand. I think that's how I don't think that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm pronouncing it because I don't know how else to pronounce it. But got a new tropical storm out there, y'all. We're still watching a disturbance out here. Going through the Antilles here in a few days. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. We're gonna give a few minutes here for everybody to join because it takes a minute. But yeah, guys, hope everyone's having a great weekend so far here on Saturday evening. Hope everyone's doing good. Let's see here. But yeah, so we got some good news for you guys tonight. So we were tracking about this, or we were talking about this here yesterday for the system out here by Bermuda. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of big impacts for Bermuda, thankfully. What's up, Justin? Saying, what do I think about 99L? We'll get to it. What's up, Brett? Saying hello. What's up, my friend? Hopefully you're doing well. But anyways, folks, we got Fernand. I think that's how you say it. Right now, tropical storm, minimal tropical storm. Sustained winds of 40 miles an hour, moving to the north at a whopping 15 miles an hour. Central low is down to a extremely low, 1,010 millibars. Yeah, not very, very low right now. But yeah, so there it is. Honestly, on satellite imagery, I was looking at this here a little bit ago. It doesn't really look the best on sat. Let's bring up the main development region here. We'll go ahead and pull this up here. So let's go ahead and play this in motion here. Yeah, honestly, on satellite, it doesn't really look too interesting right now. It's pretty broken. Let's see here. Because Fernand is kind of an L already. Yeah, it is. You can see we got a little bit of convection going on here. Circulation's still a little iffy. But yeah, not really looking too good. But, the thing is expected to pick up some strength here over the next few days. Currently, the Hurricane Center has it maximizing, well, almost hurricane strength here. Look at this. This is for the afternoon of the 25th. Hurricane Center has it getting up to 70 sustained. That's just 5 short of a 5 short of a hurricane. So wouldn't be surprised if we have potential of it becoming maybe a quick little hurricane. But good news is I don't think it's going to be much of an issue for Bermuda. You were in Hawaii recently, dodged like 3 of them. Sheesh. Well, hopefully you enjoyed your trip. And I'm glad that you dodged them. Yeah, were those the ones that... I think we were tracking those ones as well a while back. Let's see here. Is it possible change can make landfall on the Outer Banks? No. It's going to be well away from the U.S. What's up, Beth? Good to see ya. Let's see here. What's up, Frankie? Saying watching from Live Oak, Florida. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to it right now. Like I said, impact should remain just east of Bermuda. Beforehand, we were a little iffy on where it would end up and if it would get close to Bermuda or not. Hurricane Center said yesterday they might need watches or warnings, but I don't think that that's even going to be issued, to be honest with you. Latest guidance doesn't really show a whole lot of impacts, as the system's just going to kind of squeeze to the east here. Mostly just a fish storm, to be honest with you. System's just going to remain south of the Newfoundland, well south of Nova Scotia. So once again, there's Bermuda. System will just remain just east of Bermuda here. So that's definitely good, but that's not all, folks. We got another storm we're watching here too. So they actually upped the probabilities again on this guy. This is 99L here. So this one has a decent chance at doing something here in the future. We're now back up to a 40% chance. Yesterday was a 30, so we're gaining a little bit more support on it again. So basically throughout the next 7 days or the next week, we have a 40% chance of the system becoming a tropical depression or a tropical storm. And same thing throughout the next 48 hours or the next 2 days. Also got a 40% chance probability here overall. So looking at SAT now, we got a little bit of convection going on. It's trying to circulate a little bit here. You can see some of those lower level winds there kind of going southwest. And then on the far right-hand side of the storm, you can see some of those winds kind of pulling a little bit to the north. So, I mean, it's trying to do some type of circulation here. It's not really well defined at this point by any means, but it's trying. It's definitely trying to do something here, and some models do pick up on it, which we'll get into models here in a minute. But the system is going to continue whirling westward. Right now it's just a disturbance, not even a depression right now. But it will be going over the Antilles. Could drive some, convection, a little bit of storm activity out there. Probably not going to be anything super big, so, Antilles don't really got to worry about it. It's more of just a big rain event here for you guys coming your way. Just a bit of a tropical rainstorm here, but yeah, models don't really have it pick it up for anything big for the Antilles, so that's certainly good news. So yeah, that's that. But we also have another system in the EPAC, the Eastern Pacific. This one actually has a pretty good probability now of development here. Overall, 70% chance of it becoming a tropical depression or a tropical storm. Throughout the next 7 days, we are now at a high probability. And throughout the next 2 days or 48 hours, we are now at a 50% chance. So this guy might have a bit of a shot here. Let's go to goes west here. Let's see if we can do South Pacific maybe. No, we need to go up towards maybe North Pacific. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yep, so looking at it now, this one up here in the EPAC, it's just kind of the same thing. Just a bunch of disorganized storms, not really anything crazy going on here. Looking at it close, you can see a little bit of that northerly movement there, a little bit of circulation, maybe trying to work its way through. But eventually, the system is expected to develop here, so we'll keep an eye on it. But anyways, all right, let's hop over here to the Hurricane Center, y'all. We're going to take a peek at the wind speed probabilities and stuff like that. Bermuda, good news. Like I said, Bermuda is going to be out of the risk here for the most part now. Certainly good. Models have finally came to a pretty good agreement that the system is not going to pose a significant hazard to Bermuda. So there's Bermuda right there, just outside of that 5% chance here. You can see 5 to 10%. It is just to the east of Bermuda, which is definitely good. Just going to be a little bit of a fish storm out there. Probability also remains just south of Newfoundland, well south of Nova Scotia out here. So we're doing pretty good south of Sable Island. Not really a good probability of anything, tropical storm related for anybody, really. Look at this. We got a little hurricane wind speed probability. That is a 5 to 10% chance probability overall, so pretty low. Like I mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if the system could, briefly get up in the hurricane status. I mean, because, once again, the forecast for 2 p.m. as of right now has it pretty close already. There is a few models that actually suggest that being a possibility as well. Right now we're going to be sustained at 70 miles an hour here on the 25th, right around 2 p.m., so a couple days from now. Let's see here. Justin says the season's supposed to be heavily backsided. Peak season this year likely be from late September, not late October. That seems very possible. Absolutely. Yeah, we had a little bit of a slow start this year, for sure. Things have, started to finally kick up as, sea surface temperatures and stuff like that have, come to, good availability, essentially. Things are doing pretty well now, and we're probably just going to continue to, pick up in activity, possibly as we go down in time. What was I going to say here? Have one of the moments where you just forget what you're getting ready to say. But yeah, peak season's actually coming up pretty soon, though, which it'll be here for, I think, the 10th of September is peak season on average. So we're approaching it pretty quickly. Absolutely. But anyways, folks, well, let's go ahead and hop over to models. I want to go ahead and show y'all what's going on here. We're going to look at Fernand. I think that's how you say it. I don't know exactly how you pronounce that, but we're just going to call it Fernand, because why not? So, once again, everything just remaining. Bermuda's not on the map here because Bermuda is further west. But there's Sable Island out here. Here's Newfoundland. Here's bits of central eastern Nova Scotia. And you can see we have a pretty good amount of agreement here, in terms of where the storm's going to go. And all the models suggest the thing just going out to sea for the most part. The middle ground is right here, kind of where I drew this blue arrow. You got a couple models veering a little bit further eastward than the main grouping of models, keeping it further west. But, regardless here, I mean, the hurricane models do keep everything just well south here of, of Newfoundland here overall. So, that is that. See, sea surface temperatures weren't the problem. It was wind shear. Yeah, that is true. Absolutely. But anyways, the main grouping here keeps everything just south of Newfoundland here and everything like that. So, we'll we'll keep an eye on it, but not really expected too much craziness out of this one here. Here is the intensity guidance here from the same models. This is the main hurricane models here, pulling up the the intensity, kind of the middle ground here, roughly. That line of best fit has majority of models definitely keeping this thing in tropical storm force for a little bit. Not a lot of hurricane support here. You got one out of all of these models that's ran that suggests maybe getting briefly in the category 1, maybe low end hurricane status. But I wouldn't rule it out completely. I wouldn't say it's quite a big probability right now. I wouldn't say it's really likely to happen, but we'll just have to monitor it. We'll keep a close eye out there for it. But yeah, same thing with the ensembles too here. The GEFS keeping everything just east of Bermuda, just south of Newfoundland, south of Sable Island, and Nova Scotia. So, and then of course, lastly, we have the GEPS. It's good to look at a bunch of models and their members here, which you can see GEPS just keeps everything in the same path. So, except for that one member, but that's literally one member out of multiple different models. Really not likely going to see anything developing out of this one. Alrighty, so that's that storm. We just got that out of the way. So, yep, tropical storm going to remain for the next couple of days here. Now we got 99L. Now, 99L, I think, has a little bit greater probability here. There's a lot of uncertainty with it, though. There is just a lot of uncertainty going on with this right now. So let's go ahead and minimize that real quickly. So this is the 99L track guidance here. This is the spaghetti models here. So majority of the models do keep this thing kind of in the lower Antilles, just to the north of Venezuela here, and just kind of working its way westward. You can see once we get pretty far down in the forecast here, you can see that the models really have a hard time knowing what's going to happen. You got some models that really pull down south, some that do a hard shift to the north here. You got a few that just gradually go up to the west here. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty here, as you can tell. But at least for the next 3 days, next 72 hours or so, just continually rolling westward here. Should just go into the lower Caribbean overall. We'll have to monitor it. We'll keep an eye on it, see if it does anything. Looking at the spaghetti models for the intensity now, that was the track. Now here's the intensity. They do show gradual strengthening here, as you can kind of see, maybe briefly getting in the tropical storm force. A few models do actually go above and beyond here, like the ship model, going its way up here a lot further, even in the hurricane status, which I'd say at this point is pretty unlikely, but we'll continue monitoring it. We can't rule it out completely, but it's unlikely at this point in time. But just kind of keeping us right on the border between upper tropical depression and even lower tropical storm force here overall. So between that, just gradual westerly movement going into lower Caribbean, possible brief tropical storm. Once again, Hurricane Center only has a 40% chance probability of formation on it. So, it's going to be a bit of rain showers and storms out there for the Antilles here. So, we'll keep an eye out there for that. There could be quite a bit of rain rolling through, but other than that, nothing really more than just a typical tropical rainstorm, for the region here. But, it's not until we kind of approach in the Caribbean where there could be some development out of the system. There's not a whole lot of guidance of anything exploding in strength or anything like that. It'll probably just, just be a low-end tropical storm at most from what kind of guidance is suggesting right now. So here's the ensemble. So this is the GEPS ensembles here. You can see they're kind of all over the place here. We can't look in the Gulf. I know there's a lot of people who be like, oh my gosh, it's going to go in the Gulf. No, it's not. At least we don't know yet. But you can see, the main part in time we need to look at is just this part, for the next 4 days or so. 72 hours, 3 days from now. 96 hours, which would be 4 days from now. This is the reasonable time frame in which we need to be looking for. Anything beyond this is just la land. I mean, you can see some of the members having this thing going through Central America into the Eastern Pacific. And you got a few going over the Yucatan Peninsula. You got a few going into the Gulf. I mean, it's just so spread out. It's just uncertain right now. So, I mean, we do need to monitor it. We do need to keep an eye on it. But, reasonably, the models are pretty agreement, or they're in pretty good agreement here. For at least the next, 4 days or so, as the system continues traveling westward here. So there's that. We do have the GEFS ensembles too. They don't go out as far, but, within reasonable time frame, there's a little bit of weirdness going on over here, as you can see. But majority of the members just continue going west here, which is what we're likely going to do. We're going to be passing over the Antilles here. Once again, probably not anything more than just a bit of rain and stuff like that. So Probably not going to see, a lot of anything super, super crazy. But what's up, Jesse? Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. Weather says Grandy, North Carolina. Will weather be good on Labor Day weekend? What day is Labor Day? I don't remember what day. Let's see. Labor Day. Isn't that next weekend? I don't know. Y'all have to let me know. I don't remember whenever Labor Day is. But anyways, but yeah, if it is next weekend though, it's a little far out to tell. Okay, that's a week out. Anything a week out, it's a little iffy on forecasting terms. So, you guys know me. I don't like to look any more further than about 5 days typically. Unless there's significant agreement in models, maybe I'll look a week or so out. But you know me, I don't like to look too far because of how crazy the models are and how inaccurate and stuff like that is beyond that point essentially. So. But anyways, well, let's go ahead and hop our way over here into more of the individual models. We got the HERF, the first run of the HERF since the storm has been a tropical storm here. So looking at the HERF here, this is for Fernand. This is the storm the recently developed tropical storm here. Which if you guys are just tuning in, we have a new tropical storm here just southeast of Bermuda. So that little speck out there, that's Bermuda. It's good news, system will remain east of Bermuda here. Minimal to no impacts for Bermuda expected. And then, of course, hopping our way over here back to the models, the HERF just show maybe some gradual strengthening, but, nothing really major here. Just a little bit of strengthening possible. Hurricane Center, once again, does have the system briefly are getting pretty close to hurricane status. Not quite, but they do have it on the 25th at 2 p.m. They do have the system getting up to sustained of 70 miles an hour, higher gust in the hurricane force, but just slightly shy of hurricane conditions here, which is close to be. It's going to be kind of an upward tropical storm here. But yeah, anyways, HWRF doesn't really show a whole lot. I think there's a lot of disagreement in the dry air, as you can kind of see, in the forecast here from the HWRF or the model here from the HERF. It seems like moisture is going to be a little bit of an issue here at some point. I mean, you can see how we do have, a bit of dry air on, some of the eastern and some of the western sides of the storm here. So, a little bit of dry air infiltration could absolutely be a concern. It's probably what's going to, kind of help limit the system from really blowing up into anything even bigger overall. So that's that. So that's certainly some good news here. Infrared, as you can see, so there's Bermuda. You guys can see right there. Infrared just keeps all that convection east of Bermuda here. Just, I don't know, just kind of just remaining a blob of just storms, honestly. But it is going to be a tropical storm for a while. It's likely not going to be anything, anything super crazy or anything like that. But anyway, so that's that. So that's the HERF model. Hopping over to HMON, so the Herman model, does have maybe a little bit more strengthening out of the system here. You can see maybe briefly getting it down in the 990 millibar range. Kind of more of a mid, maybe upper end tropical storm here overall. But, system doesn't really do much. It remains, to the west here, to the east of Bermuda. Once again, like the other models suggested, you can see we do have a bit of dry air infiltration being a bit of a concern for this storm as well. A lot of the moisture on the southern extent of the storm, but a lot of dry air the storm is going to be heading into, which that could really limit the development here with Fernand, or however you say it. So that'll definitely be good. But like we mentioned, the system's just going to be a fish storm anyways. It's just going to be remaining out to sea. So eventually kind of getting swallowed by the jet stream and eventually just kind of completely dying out there. So that will be good. That will absolutely be good. So, so that's the HMON. We got the HAFS models. HAFS-A. We do have the 18 UTC run here. So once again, everything just east of Bermuda, but really not a lot of development out of it, as you can see. The pressure maybe getting down into the low 1,000 millibar range according to HAFS-A. But yet again, like the other model suggests, it's going to be running into a bit of drier air, which is going to be giving it a little bit of a problem for any further development here. So really not... not really expecting a whole lot out of this system here. Once again, just remaining a tropical storm the next few days. It very likely will come into some struggles, over the next few days, as it'll be really kind of pulling in a little bit of drier air. Especially right around like the 25th and 26th there, it'll really start to pull in some dry air, which could really limit it from kicking off any further. And then of course we have the HAFS-B model. This in particular model here has it maybe a little bit stronger than the HFS-A. Pressure getting down maybe lower 1,000 millibar range, upper 990s maybe. But once again, still dry air being a concern. That's going to be the main setback, for this in particular system here. So that's that. We do have the parent model available, so we can zoom out a little bit more here. So once again, there's Bermuda. You can see the system is expected to be well just east of Bermuda for the most part. You can see a lot of dry air all around the system here. We did have Aaron, which is up there, that is now completely engulfed in dry air overall. And you can see we do have some dry air around here, some little bits of moisture, but for this storm here, yeah, it's just going to be having a bit of a moisture issue here. Looking at the wind shear, looking at the kinematics here, it doesn't look like wind shear is going to be too much of an issue, at least to start. But later on down in this time, it could get easily caught up in that jet stream here, which eventually will kind of just smother it out essentially. But we got a little bit of that upper level venting going on here for the next couple of hours, or for the next several hours, I should say. Just typical with these systems, but wind shear not too much of a big issue. The main problem for this storm is going to be with all that dry air we're dealing with here. So that's going to be the main driver here overall. We got global models like the GFS here. GFS 18 UTC, really doesn't pick up on it. I mean, it's a lot smaller of a system, as comparing to Aaron was. I mean, Aaron was massive. This system's a lot more tiny. I will tell you this, though. Sometimes the global models have a little bit of a harder time seeing smaller systems, in which, GFS, I mean, it does show it. It's just not very, very strong here, keeping it mostly just above 1,010 millibars, which is barely even it recognizes it a low, because average sea level pressure is 1,013 millibars, which, this model suggesting not even really breaking 1,010. I mean, it's barely even a recognizable low at this point. But anyways, so there's that. Then of course here, let's hop back over here to the North Atlantic here. Then you got CMC. CMC maybe a little bit stronger, 1,008 or so. But once again, I mean, not really expected to be much here. So I'm not really too worried about this system. What's up, Mom? Good to see you. Not really too worried about this system. According to the Hurricane Center, it's pronounced Fernand. Fernand. It's an interesting name. I don't know how you pronounce it perfectly. I always called it Fernand. Fernand. Whatever. That storm up there. You can see in the top left. That name right there. Yeah, Fernand. Or whatever. What's up, Raven? Good to see you. How's everyone's day doing? It's going pretty good. Hopefully you're doing well yourself. It's good to see you guys. But yeah, so let's shift some gears here. We're gonna hop to 99L now. So this is that other system that we're monitoring here. So yeah, like I mentioned, the system is gonna be going over, the Antilles. Could definitely bring a bit of heavy rain to the region here. As you can see, maybe some flooding could be a concern. We'll have to see. HWRF does have, maybe a little bit of gradual development with time, but not really a lot going on with this system either, according to HWRF. Just a little grouping of heavy rain and thunderstorm activity here. Just a tropical rainstorm basically. Not really anything super massive here. Let's see here. Yeah, also seems to maybe run into a little bit of dry air as well. That could be an issue. That's the problem with Fernand, or however you pronounce that one storm. It's running into a bit of drier air. Yeah, that could be an issue for this storm here too. HMON here. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It takes the center a lot lower. I think the center is actually up here. It's just the model's viewing thinks that that's where the center is. But anyways, but yeah. So the HMON, same thing. Just a bit of rain and stuff like that for the Antilles. Not really anything big or anything massive. HAFSA. Let's see here. HFSA. Look at that. a little micro system there. Yeah, not really doing much here with the HFSA model either. So not really too worried about that system for right now. I mean, if we if we hop on back over here to the spaghetti models here for that system, B99L. Models do have it continually going west for the next few days, but in terms of intensity, majority of models just keep it maybe at most lower end tropical storm here. I mean, we got a little bit of models that suggest maybe some gradual development with time, but not a lot of support. Most of the support just keeps it steady, if not even weakened, the further we go down in time. So, yeah, really not too worried about 99L either. But between the two systems, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Aaron at this point is no longer a concern. The system is well up north now, well out of those warm waters and stuff like that. Once again, we do got another system here in the EPAC that we're watching. Overall, 70% chance of development here, so pretty good shot at turning into a depression or a storm. I guess we can take a peek at that real quickly if y'all want to. So let's hop over to EPAC real quickly. So here's the GFS model. GFS doesn't really have a whole lot happening with it, but it could turn into a depression, maybe a tropical storm. Maybe even another wave to follow here over the next few days. We'll just have to see. Euro, ECMWF here, kind of the same thing. Doesn't really take off much with the system. CMC, on the other hand, you can see CMC is definitely a little bit more aggressive, but when I say aggressive, it means it's a little bit stronger than the other models, but still, barely even a depression or a tropical storm at that point. So, maybe a little depression could develop out of it. Icon too, yeah. There's not a lot of support of the system really being anything major either, so that's definitely pretty good here. But let's see here. But yeah, that's really what's going on there, y'all. There's really not a whole lot of anything super duper concerning right now, which is good. But, we'll keep an eye on the tropics. We'll monitor this guy. Once again, Fernand, or however you pronounce it. This system, just going to be a fish storm, just remaining out to sea, not really being too much of a problem overall. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Now, in terms of the states, we're going to shift our view from the tropics to the U.S. for a minute, okay? So we got a big thing going on here in the states here. So we actually have a lot of cold conditions coming in here, a lot of cooler conditions. We're going to really start to feel that fall weather soon. I think it's only going to be a temporary shift, though. I think eventually it's going to warm back up again. But this is the 6 to 10 day outlook here. Regarding the temperature probability. And you can see that we have a lot of below normal conditions out there. Especially that new shade of blue between the Carolinas is expected to be really cold. Look at this. At least a 70% chance of below normal temperatures out there. Now, we were looking at the models yesterday, and some of the models like the GFS and whatnot do support those temperatures, possibly getting down into, at nighttime in the 60s and, even 50s. And I did see some 40s there too. Which I'll go ahead and bring you guys over here to now to kind of show you all. Once again, a lot of cooler conditions is expected. And you can see it's really going to cool down. Blue showing that, we're well below average in terms of temperature here. The Pacific Northwest, though, on the other hand, those areas are going to be a little bit warmer than typical, actually. So a lot of the central eastern country is going to be a bit cooler than normal. A lot of the western, northwestern part of the country is going to be a lot warmer than normal here overall. Now, looking at those individual temperatures here, you can see, things are really going to be cooling down quite a bit. Here's the morning of the 27th. You can see that we do have, some of the Midwest Ohio Valley getting down into even some areas in the lower 50s, upper 40s, essentially, which, definitely going to be quite the cool down here overall. Even during the daytime here, this is for the kind of the afternoon of the 27th. You can see some of the Ohio Valley kind of in the mid, maybe lower 70s, which is definitely pretty low. The plains out here kind of in the 80s. Florida out here, still doing Florida stuff. Still being in the 90s out here for the most part. But, yeah, this is mostly just going to be a big change for a lot of these areas by the Midwest, the plains, the Ohio Valley. The Northeast as well. Look at that. The Northeast, according to GFS here for the afternoon of the 27th, could get down into even the 60s, which is definitely going to be pretty chilly. Typical type of a fall type of weather kind of coming through here. Now, in terms of Euro, the ECMWF, I mean, there's a lot of agreement too. The morning of the 27th, you can see temperatures down into the lower 50s in some spots here. I mean, maybe even some areas in the 40s. So definitely a lot of cooler conditions is going to be felt here throughout the next little bit here. So we got to definitely look out there for that as well. But anyways, hopping back over here, so that's throughout the next 6 to 10 days. So, it's really, the cooler conditions are going to start really coming in over the next few days. But, throughout the days 6 to 10, you can see a lot of the blue indicating a lot cooler temperatures expected. And the reddish orange colors here kind of showing us that we have a lot of above average. Now, in terms of precipitation here, so throughout the days 6 to 10, you can see that we're going to be a little bit more drier up towards the Great Lakes area, up here also by the also out here by the Ohio Valley, and mostly just the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes here. We're going to be basically below normal in terms of precipitation. And then, of course, we do have a lot of the west here, a lot of the west in the southern U.S. and also a bit of the southeast. We're actually going to be above average in terms of precipitation here with the green areas here, indicating above average precipitation. You can see a 50% chance of above normal precipitation here in the darkest green colors. The shade below it's 40%, 33%. The tan, that's obviously not tan. The gray color here is showing us kind of more we're near normal conditions here overall. And then, of course, we work our way into the below normal up here by the, towards the Great Lakes region here. So there's that. And then, of course, in the extended range here, days 8 to 14, still a little bit dry up north there. Still a bit above normal in terms of precipitation for bits of the southeast, the Central Plains, and a lot more above across the areas like the Pacific Northwest here for days 8 to 14. So basically a week to 2 weeks out. This is in terms of the precipitation. Now, in terms of temperatures here, you can see still a little bit cool for days 8 to 14, especially for the Central Plains, Midwest, and the southeastern U.S., a bit of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast as well. And actually a bit warmer than typical for days 8 to 14 across the northern parts of the country, up there in the Pacific Northwest through the northern plains and some of the Great Lakes regions here as well. Also Florida and a little bit of like southern Texas, southern Louisiana here, maybe a little bit above normal in terms of temperatures out there as well. But other than that, that's kind of the verdict with the temperature and rain situation for the states. Now, in terms of the severe weather threat here, we do have a little bit of a risk today for severe weather up by Colorado. Not really a lot going on here. In terms of tornadoes, no threat for tornadoes today, thankfully. A little bit of a hail threat. A little bit of a wind threat here as well. Tomorrow, kind of the same areas here, a little bit of Colorado, a little bit of western Kansas here, just a level 1 threat for severe weather overall. Tornado probability, not expected. Let's see, you're less than 2%. In terms of wind, 5%. Hail, 5% as well. And then, of course, we go into Monday, which would be day 3. In which day 3 we don't even have any risk for severe weather, so we're looking pretty tame here. Severe weather-wise, tropical-wise, nothing imminent. No imminent danger. For both the EPAC and the Atlantic. I mean, like I said, we're watching a couple of systems, but their impacts are going to be fairly minimal. Once again, the Bermuda storm here, or the storm near Bermuda, is just going to remain east of Bermuda. We were thinking there would be some impacts, but models have changed up. There's been a lot of changes since the last couple of days in which, the system is just going to remain to the east of Bermuda, keeping all the effects mostly just east. And then, of course, with this guy, this system here has a 40% chance of maybe becoming a depression, maybe a tropical storm, in which, it is going to go over the Antilles, maybe driving a bit of rain, maybe some localized flooding could be a concern out of it. But other than that, no full-blown hurricane or tropical storm activity expected out of this one as of right now. So we'll definitely keep an eye out there for it. But anyways, folks, well, that's probably going to wrap it up. I'm going to do a little bit of an earlier stream today. This is kind of a little bit of an earlier stream, just a little bit over a half hour. I just kind of wanted to get y'all up to date with everything that's going on. Nothing imminent, no immediate danger for anybody, so we're looking pretty good. Once again, Fernand will be out to sea, not going to be an issue. Maybe, a brief hurricane can't be ruled out with that system. I mean, once again, Hurricane Center, we do have the system getting near hurricane strength, sustained right around 70, which 75 or 74 and greater, I believe, is Category 1. So we'll be close. So just don't be surprised if it has potential to. But even if it did, it's just going to be out to sea, and we'll continue monitoring it. And like I mentioned, right now it doesn't even look that good, to be honest with you. It looks pretty unhealthy for the most part here. Pulling back up the SAT here real quickly. It goes east, and we'll bring up the MDR. It's not very healthy. I mean, we got a little bit of convection going on with it. Overall, not really the most healthy of tropical systems at the moment. But, yeah, I'm not really worried about this guy here. And, of course, the one over here, 99L that we have here as well. This one, we could see some development. We do got a pretty good amount of clustered thunderstorm activity going on with it, but not a lot of rapid strengthening is expected out of it, which is definitely good. But a dry air would eventually pose a bit of a concern possibly for it. So, anyways, but yeah, so that's that, y'all. But we're going to go ahead and roll off here for now. Just want to say thank you all for joining. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. But yeah, we'll be back on live tomorrow for you guys for another update. Once again, at 8 o'clock p.m. every day, we're going live here to get you guys up to date regardless of what's going on, just to help keep you guys in the loop of everything and all that. But on your way out, if you guys could leave a like as well, it'll be greatly appreciated. Just want to say thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for hanging out. But alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys here in the next one. Peace out, my friends. Catch y'all later on.